You ever have one of those days where you roll up in your busted old Ford under a sky so blue it looks almost fake, and you think, maybe this time, life's finally going to cut me a break? Yeah, well, that's how it started. Arizona, not a cloud in sight, just me and 2 acres of hard-baked ground. The kind of dirt that crunches under your boots and smells like freedom if you've ever spent a year living in moldy motels and sleeping in half-collapsed trailers out in Louisiana, patching up homes after a hurricane. Let me tell you, this was supposed to be my shot at peace. I'd bought the land at a county auction. Clean, clear, no HOA, no busybody measuring your grass with a ruler or telling you your shutters are too blue. Just good old-fashioned ownership, the way it ought to be. I'd spent half a year dreaming about this day. My foundation permit was burning a hole in my glove box. The markers I'd stuck in the ground were still there, and the sun was already promising 100 degrees by lunch. I was feeling good until I saw it. Right there in the south corner, a sign. Not just any sign, either. New, shiny, cemented into my land so deep you'd think it was a time capsule. Property of Willow Hills. No trespassing. $500 fine. There was a little leafy logo, all official, plus a plastic under surveillance warning dangling underneath like a threat. I stood there blinking, thinking maybe the heat was getting to me. But nope, it was real. And so was that little twist in my gut, the kind you get when you know someone's messing with you, and they're doing it with a smile. I checked everything. Deed, survey, GPS. All mine, all legit. County had auctioned it off after some developer flamed out, and I had the receipts to prove it. Whoever planted that sign, they'd done it in the last couple days, fresh concrete and all. They were trying to make it look like I didn't belong. So you know what I did? I took pictures from every angle, emblem, words, the whole 9 yards. Then I yanked that sucker out of the ground. Wasn't easy. Whoever installed it wanted it to stay put. But a little sweat, a lot of stubborn, and that pole came out with a concrete plug still clinging to the end. I strapped it in the back of my truck. Not for keepsakes, just in case things got ugly and I needed a souvenir for the county judge. I felt that old FEMA fire stirring in my chest, the same one that had me hauling tarps and arguing with swampy councilmen after Katrina. This wasn't just a mistake. It was a land grab, plain and simple. So I did what I do best. I got to work. Ordered concrete and gravel for the footings that same day, and when I got back to my rental, I laid out every scrap of paperwork I had. County maps, tax records, auction slips. Every one said the same thing. This land was never, ever part of Willow Hills. Next morning, I showed up before sunrise, shovel in hand, ready for whatever. The heat was already thick, the cicadas loud enough to rattle your teeth, but it felt good, honest. I marked out where the walls would stand. For a minute, it was just me, the dirt, and the promise of something real. Then I heard it, a couple SUVs and a truck with a flashing beacon, rolling up off the county road like they owned the place. Out pile 4 people in yellow vests. HA Patrol in big letters, like I'd wandered into some suburban police state. Leading the charge was a woman, mid-50s, curly blonde hair, clutching a tablet like it was the 10 Commandments. She strode up before I could even say howdy, and barked, "You can't be here." I'm not joking. She hadn't even asked my name. She just declared, with the confidence of someone who spent her life winning arguments in PDA meetings, that this was Willow Hills jurisdiction and I was violating community regulations. I told her, nice and calm, brushing dust off my gloves, that I'd bought the land at a county auction and had the paperwork to prove it. Her face pinched up like she'd bitten a lemon. That land was reserved for our community's green zone. There was a mistake in the auction process. We've already filed complaints. Sure, I said. That's between you and the county. I'm just here, building on my property. She spun her tablet around, showing off a blurry PDF, looked about as official as a lemonade stand permit. This is the master plan, she insisted. Your lot should never have been sold. I raised an eyebrow. That's not an official document. She looked like she might explode. It's all we need for now. No, ma'am, I said. What you need is a deed. She huffed. We're calling the police. I actually smiled. Reception's better by the road. She did it, too, pulled out her phone and dialed. The rest of her patrol hung back, looking less sure. One guy's HOA was written in duct tape across his vest. I guess times are tough even for suburban enforcers. About 20 minutes later, a sheriff's cruiser pulled up. Deputy Tennyson, mid-40s, looked like he'd seen every flavor of nonsense the desert could throw at him, stepped out. "Disturbance?" he asked. I handed him my paperwork, told him what was going on. "Karen." "Yeah, her name was Karen. You can't make this stuff up." Launched into her monologue about green space and protected zones. The deputy looked through my deed, permit, county maps. Everything checked out. "Well," he said, turning to Karen, "his paperwork's clean. Not part of your HOA." She spluttered. "Our board voted to extend coverage." Tennyson gave her a look. "Ma'am, you can't just vote to take someone's land." She tried to accuse me of vandalism for pulling out the sign. I pointed to where it was sitting, untouched, in my truck bed. The deputy shrugged. "No laws broken here. Civil issue, take it up with the county." I'll be honest, I almost laughed out loud when he said that. Karen stormed off, still hollering into her phone, the rest of her crew slinking after her. You'd think that'd be the end of it, right? Wrong. What came next was pure HOA drama, Arizona style. 2 days later, the local Facebook group lit up. Willow Hills Community Board, members only. Construction alert. Community green space at risk. Screenshots landed in my inbox from folks I'd never met. Photos of my flagged dirt lot with captions like, "Look what we're losing." No mention of the auction. No mention I owned it. Just fear-mongering and hashtags. Then came a confidential city letter floating around, warning that development must cease pending review. Except, when you actually read it, it was signed by nobody, linked to a pothole file in another district, and confidential was spelled wrong. I couldn't even respond. The group's rules were updated. Only current HOA residents may post. Cute, right? So I went public, posted every deed, record, permit I had, right out in the open. Captioned it simple. Before you call someone a thief, maybe check if they actually own the land. Man, you wouldn't believe the inbox traffic. Some folks got it, sent me stories about their own HOA fights. Others were downright hostile. Outsider. Developer. Somebody taped a Save Our Park flyer to the door of my rental, 30 minutes from the build site. That's when I realized Karen had herself a little army. And then came the garbage. Literally. I rolled up one morning to find a truckload of broken furniture, yard clippings, and a nasty old mattress dumped right where my living room would go. No cameras yet. No proof. Just HOA hospitality. That's when I knew this wasn't about rules. It was about pushing me out by any means. So I installed trail cams. Every corner, night vision, solar power. Next day, I got a tip. Unknown number, 3 pictures. A screenshot of the HOA's fake post, a photo of the forged city letter, and a circle around the author metadata, K. Mace. Then a message. You didn't hear it from me. Guess not everyone likes playing dirty. That's when I met Brooke Carty. Attorney, mid-30s, sharp as a tack. Looked like she could chew glass and not blink. I laid it all out. Signs, fake docs, online circus, trash pile. She listened, nodded, didn't look surprised. Turns out she'd tangled with Willow Hills before. They'd tried to annex a ranch outside their boundaries for visual continuity. Lost big in court, but didn't stop poking around. We dug through county records. Found Karen had been denied every time she tried to claim this land, right up to 2 months before my auction. The kicker? The county literally wrote, "The HOA has no enforceable claim." Karen knew she had no ground to stand on. But here she was, trespassing anyway. Brooke didn't waste time. Drafted a cease and desist, filed with the county, and started prepping a civil suit. She grinned. "Can we nail her?" I asked. "Oh, we can nail her," she replied. "But she'll go down swinging." Just then, I noticed a black SUV watching my lot. Drove off as soon as I looked. War had officially started. Next morning, barricades. For concrete slabs, blocking the only road in, private road. Willow Hills residents only. There was a laminated sign, city letterhead, some Inspector Charles Mace. Yeah, Mace, Karen's cousin. Deputy Tennyson came out again, shook his head. Public road, no restriction. City crew cleared the blocks inside an hour. That should have been it. But then Brooke called. Charles Mace had no authority here. Fake permit, criminal impersonation, maybe even felony forgery. Things only got nastier. My survey gear stolen, foundation stakes trashed, community first spray painted in orange across the dirt. I set up more cameras, grabbed a lawn chair, and just sat there in the heat. I wasn't going anywhere. The day we walked into the county courthouse, I looked like a contractor. Boots, jeans, no tie. Brooke, though, she came loaded for bear, briefcase stuffed with affidavits, maps, flash drives. Across the room sat Karen, hair sprayed into armor, flanked by two HOA board members who looked ready to fake their own deaths to get out of there. The judge, a sharp-eyed woman who didn't waste words, heard every bit of it. Brooke laid it out. Deeds, auction records, county emails, the fake permit, the metadata, K. Mace, Charles Mace. The defense tried to claim it was all draft language, but the judge just gave them that look. Then came the witnesses. Deputy Tennyson told the whole story, from the first sign to the barricades. Then a former HOA board member, Jordan Ellis, testified that Karen knew the land wasn't theirs and told them to act like it's ours anyway. The air got thick. Mid-session, the county clerk delivered a packet. HOA emails mentioning my parcel by name before the auction. The judge stared Karen down. Willful and calculated attempt to assert false authority. Forgery. Impersonation. She ordered Karen remanded to custody. No bail. The room went dead quiet. I didn't even feel like cheering, just let out the breath I'd been holding for weeks. Verdict, full win. Damages, defamation, delays, HOA to pay, permanent injunction, no more trespass, no more claims, ever. Reporter scribbling like mad. Board members vanished. Brooke snapped her briefcase shut. We're just getting started. Construction kicked off the next week. Concrete, framing, everything. The lawsuit settlement didn't hurt. $280,000 for damages and legal fees. I put it right back into the build. Solar, insulation, water system, the works. Karen? 12 years. Plea deal fell apart after they found a dozen forged approvals. Turns out my land wasn't her first rodeo, just her last. The HOA dissolved. Community voted them out. No more mailbox inspectors, no more approved paint colors. Just neighbors and a lot of questions about where the dues went. Brooke and I stayed friends. She called me Randall after the third court win. Came out to see the house one evening. We drank beers on the porch, watched the sky catch fire behind the saguaros. Ever think of moving somewhere quieter? She asked. I grinned. Nah, I like a place where people fight over 2 acres of dirt like it's gold. We laughed, watched the sunset, looked up at the big sign I'd bolted to the gate. No HOA. No trespassing. Free home for free people. A couple weeks later, I threw a barbecue. Nothing fancy, just ribs, beer, folding chairs, neighbors from the other side of the wash. Jordan showed up, brought whiskey, called it an HOA peace offering. We clinked glasses. The sun dipped, Johnny Cash played, fireflies blinked on. Somebody toasted to liberty, land, and telling fake bureaucrats to go to hell. Right about then, a kid wandered up, staring at the house. Is this your place? He asked. I smiled, looking at everything I'd fought for. Damn right it is. So, where do you stand? You ever had to fight for what was yours, or seen a bully try to take more than they deserve? Drop your story in the comments. Tell me where you're watching from. Let's talk about what justice really looks like, and what you'd have done if it was your name on the deed.